Good afternoon. Are we all in the afternoon? Yeah. Good afternoon.
You have 8 minutes, sir.
Okay, 15 minutes. Thank you. That was a fantastic presentation from Lucknow, and that is why I stay connected with technology. And I'm sure it kind of reminded you, taking back to your classroom when you do your very strong calculus. But what we are going to talk here, it sets it up well, because I think there's some brilliant technologists and folks who are doing startup with brilliant ideas here. Before I go there, that part, just to get this done with, yeah, this is my vision to kind of partner with folks with whatever knowledge that we can help on the technology and the patent side, and how and why is we'll talk a bit about it. This is my third day in this symposium. I put my presentation yesterday night, looking at what is going on, what could be relevant here. But really, and yeah, this is to add weight to what I say. And people may say, why are you talking such a large topic? Are you even qualified to do something like that? We have customers of TekIP, which are large MNCs. I just run through that just to impress. I'm nothing more here. We also work with universities, lots of them, based upon what the requirements are. But this is where I want to stop, because to this community, the technology community, is it a... Does it work? This is an indicator here, is it? This is the one, right? The center one? The center one works or the top? Top one works. Okay. Yeah. So I think most of things that I've heard in last few days have centered around this. I mean, people know that they have an idea, they want to file it, protect it, and that's pretty much what patent means to them, right? I mean, but you see, patent is part of the larger intellectual property, right? So like any property, it's got a usage in business. Even to get to develop a property, you've got to make sure that you have invested in developing that property. And you want to know where you're going to develop it, which are the areas you're going to develop it, and why you're going to develop it. So upstream knowledge about your competition, white spaces, so to say, are all very critical before somebody wants to invest in you. A lot of times in universities, especially in my career, if I have to kind of talk about my first 10 years was with VSSC, VARC, government organizations. Then my next 10 years was with General Electric, which was again General Electric R&D. But you see, they thought very differently. Shankar talked about 2009, the natural gas vehicles, coming in. By the time they came was 2025 URNG. 2002, we worked on hydrogen landscape. And even at that time, there were about 16,000 inventions in storage, production, as well as transportation. So when we get on to some of these technologies, it's important to know what has already gone ahead. I mean, yes, you have know it from the technology point of view, but you also have to know who owns the technology, what can you do by working on it for so long. So this initial portion is also very important, often overlooked, but when you start thinking about getting into certain area, please do take a look at this or attempt yourself. You have Perplexity and you have ChatGPT, you can ask those questions, prompts, but do find out about it. Once beyond that would become your issues, once you have already developed it and you want to know, for example, you develop a technology. For several startups, it will happen. They did not succeed in making it a business. But they developed the technology and they had patents. Let's say they filed for patents, they had patents. What can they do now? If you have patents, you can still make money out of it if you have done work in the right places. You could still identify someone who will be able to use your technology. But for that, you should have owned it first, right? And I think from what I heard in last 2 days was a lot of developments are happening, but if you're looking at partnership, you want MNCs to come and work with you. You want, increasingly some of these technologies that we are talking about today, they are probably like some of you mentioned, early TRLs. You will need at various points partners who will actually put capital or, knowledge to kind of scale it. The first question we're going to ask is, what do you bring to the table? Do you even own what you are working on, or you just kind of started working on it? So owning that property is going to be important for you to negotiate. What is it that you want to kind of, collaborate on? A lot of that happens here. You could do this policing, infringement analysis. So these are stuff which is done because you already spent money on it. You want to make sure that money speaks for itself. This is what I call the entire, at least from the patent point of view, entire business of technology, because when you start answering those questions, a lot of at intermediate steps, you get to know several things. For example, this actually white space will actually tell you what all technologies are alternatives to what you are working on, and whether those alternatives are reality. Have people actually worked on it? Do they already have products out there? Do they have patents on it? And remember, patents are not marketing material. You have put money where your mouth is, right? So whether they have actually built the product or not, they definitely thought about it and they are protecting it. And I'll show an example of how how it will impact you if you ignore that at later point in time. But I wanted to bring this value chain because it's important to understand the entire value chain right here when you're starting at this point. Yeah, I know this is green hydrogen. So we've done some work as preparation for it. You'll see it at the stall that we have. But I just took some slides from there just to kind of bring out a point. Yeah, there's a lot of activity of late. We expect that. And the reason why you're seeing that start from zero is because the green hydrogen was looked at. It was not defined before that period. But yeah, trust electrolysis and all those processes go long back. And the driver from what we found was that China is driving it, right? Currently, they talk about, and you guys are more an expert on it than me, they say about, they have 50% of world's capacity of green hydrogen. I don't know, 125 kilotons of capacity that they have today, which is about 50% of what the world has. I mean, they didn't just get into the business. What they've actually done is, look at the top patent assignees in this area. They dominate. Now, there's several reasons why they may be doing this. I mean, they not just got into the business, but they made sure that that China, a lot of these filings are in China. So patents are national in nature. So wherever you're practicing, you need to have a patent, whichever country you're practicing, you need to have it. They have mostly patents in China. So they're making sure that if China is a market, no one else can really come in and disrupt them. They have control over their technology. Something that we need to start appreciating and learn when in this disruptive world things are happening. You should start looking at some of these questions. Bulk of the filings that are happening are all happening in China. That's just the way they've gone. They not only built it, but they have protected it. They've kind of made sure that nobody else comes into play there. Long back, before they started doing it, Japan has been in electrolysis for a long time. I mean, if you look at the development of this technology, Japanese firms have been kind of, have had a kind of, stronghold in this, and they are known to be 10 years ahead in their, development. But just the market of China now is no longer with, some of these folks. They have inundated with innovation. You don't always. So there are several strategies there. It could be possible that the key technology is patented by somebody else. But what if kind of patent everything around it? By the way, I always say this in my talk because it's a misconception sometimes. Patent does not allow you to practice what you have patented. Some of you will appreciate it who have been exposed to this. But patent does not allow you to practice what you patented. Patent prevents others from practicing what you have patented. It's a negative right? if you go ahead to practice it, you will still have to figure out what all I'm going to practice and whether I have protected all of that. China has just done that. It not only it may not have the key technologies, Japan may have those, but to make it work, they will have to do other things which they cannot without licensing it from one of their players. It doesn't matter. You may be a follower, but you could still have a strategy around how you are going to protect your innovation. I just took one because there were some discussions going on, how China is doing it, and I've had it. So I just took one application from that landscape that we did on hydrogen. The very recent publication date is 15 July 25. Right, 2 months back, it got published from integrated energy. What it does is sewage sludge. Okay, green hydrogen from sewage sludge. I'm sure for developing countries like India, it will become important that you want to get into, you want to know about this. I don't understand a lot of chemistry. I'm from aerospace background, but I do understand that they have a granted patent. And I was telling somebody yesterday about a PCT route. I think the professor is not there, but they've gone to the PCT route, which is essentially the treaty which allows you to kind of file in multiple countries, or at least, like they say, seat pe rumal rakhte ho, to block for multiple countries. And they did it, and India is part of it. So whether they actually file in India or not, they've got 30 months to kind of work on it. But if somebody thought they're going to work in this area, beware that there's something already there. So you've got to kind of work around it. Just this piece of knowledge is important when you get into investing in your time in some of this. The first step is to understand the technology. Second is how you are going to make it work for you or monetize it for yourself. And this is one of the tools that you can. In fact, they say 70 to 80% of technical data is in patent database. So anytime you want to understand a new technology, it's great to pick up one of the patents in that area and read the kind of specifications, because you're supposed to. So one other piece of info is it was a tool given to break monopoly, right? I mean, in some ways, although it gave monopoly, but also broke a monopoly, because what it forced the innovator is to tell everything about his innovation. Yeah, see that. To tell everything about his innovation. And for that, in lieu of that, he got the patent, but people can build on it. And he lost that, that edge that he had by hiding it. To start a funding, I just wanted to say this is one chart by EPO and Crunchbase and all that. Blue is people who raised funds with patents versus people who raised funds without patents. I mean, this is a story that very often told. Know that, think about it. I just put this for organizations. I guess it's not very relevant here. Depends upon, where are we in this. Some are reactive, but you got to be on top of it. And some of those organizations that I talked about, they have figured it out. They have written the book. So last 2 minutes on my own team, getting back to my own team, we are a bunch of technologists here. We have PhDs, masters, and bachelors in these areas. Because otherwise we cannot partner with, or we cannot talk about technology. We also digitize stuff. So this is a platform where you can, if you're a budding startup, you have a team, you have an idea, you're a university, you want to make sure that your ideas are captured somewhere, and you can, for posterity, make it useful for the students as well as track what's going on at the patent office. We have a digitized platform. We also do training, 101s for students, 201 for practitioners, and 301 senior leadership if they want some strategic training in these areas. We also offer that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vikasji, for enlightening. And I think many startups who are, many students who want to take up, a startup, they also need to patent their technologies. And this is a rightful insight which you provided. that given an opportunity, the ideation has to be there, and once the ideation is there, the will and to protect the IP and further to monetize it also is important, because IPs always build organizations. I mean, one of the biggest IPs, the iPhone which you carry, has one of the biggest IPs inside a very small form factor. So this is where